Hello, and welcome to another episode of Writings from the Hills. Today we are going to be reading a selection from Appalachian Love Stories. And this is a collection of stories written by various authors. And this is published by the Jesse Stuart Foundation, and a special thanks to them for allowing us to use this for our program. And today I'm going to read a selection called Buttons and Bows by James B. Good. She came skipping down the steep, gravelled road. Her thin yellow and white check gingham dress swung back and forth as she raised one leg and then the other in short staccato steps. She whistled Buttons and Bows over and over. The late evening summer air was sweet, with the smell of red and orange honeysuckle growing on the chicken wire fence along the Critty's Crogan's back lot. He was busy with a crew of men who were setting out hedge along the front row of the houses in the machine shop hollow in the Black Mountain coal camp. He turned, rested his long arms on the dirt shovel, and watched her slide in the loose gravel as she continued down the hill and disappeared around the curve at the end of the mine car shop. Even after she was gone, the little puffs of dust hung just above the road bed and curled around like a wisp of smoke from a dying fire. "Lance!" someone yelled from the hedgerow. He turned his head towards the sound. Ray, his youngest crew member, winked at Skinny Taylor, who was hefting a carefully pruned hedge into the hole that they had just finished. "Why's an old man like you looking at a young girl like that?" Ray said as he pushed his cap back and scratched above his left ear and screwed his mouth down on both corners as to say, "It's way beyond me." "I wasn't looking at nothing," he said. "Besides that, I ain't but 25-year-old. He blushed, stuck the shovel into the dirt pile, and flipped the sand rock aside. He had known her for over 5 years, and in the spring and summer, Alta and several boys and girls from the hollow came to watch the crew set out trees, plant flowers, build rock walls, construct fences, and dig drainage ditches. Lance worked with his crew all over the camp, but he was more often in the machine shop hollow section because it had the most houses. Their job was to keep the camp landscaped and beautified, and he held a contract with the coal company who paid him a lump sum, and he, in turn, hired and paid all his men. At first he didn't pay much attention to her. She was just one of the kids. Sometimes the guys would give them a piece of cake or a moon pie from their lunch buckets as they took their breaks or sat with their backs against the shade trees along the hollow road. He liked to kid her because she was easily flustered. "Come over here and stand sideways. Stick out your tongue out. You look just like a zipper," he said. "I guess when you were a baby they had to hang a pork chop around your neck to get the dog to play with you," he would declare. "Tell them ugly sisters of yours that I've got a half-dozen ears of corn that they could eat through my picket fence if they wanted to." Lance would do a chipmunk thing with his teeth when he got to the picket fence part. This is what made Alta madder than a wet hen. She'd begin to cry and flail at him with her fist. He would just hold her thin arms and let out a big, deep belly laugh. She would storm off, stomping her feet on the dusty road as she marched toward home to tell Ida May, her mama, the terrible, awful things he had said to her. He knew her daddy, too. Rome Parsons was a foreman in the company machine shop and was known as the best machinist in eastern Kentucky. Given the right tools, he could repair or make the most anything he wanted in that shop. But he had a reputation for liking moonshine whiskey, and camp rumors had that he was just plain mean when he drank. Ida May was the prettiest woman in the Black Mountain coal camp. People said she was half Cherokee and half French Canadian. She had long, straight black hair, dark skin, and a slender, muscular build. She was known as a gentle, kind, Christian woman. Rome and Ida May had 3 girls, Pauline, Rose, and Alta. Alta was the oldest. She wasn't the prettiest. She was too skinny, and had inherited the high cheekbones and slightly hooked nose from somewhere deep in her Indian genes. Her legs and arms were long and delicate, but out of proportion with the rest of her body. One fall day, shortly after her 16th birthday, Alda sat down beside Lance under the catapult tree just behind her house, and they shared a piece of chocolate cake. Lance had sent the crew to the supply house to get a loaf of sand and cement just so he'd get a chance to talk to her without their prying eyes and ears. The soft light from the sun reflecting in the pool of water in the road made her hair glow and her gray eyes shine like bright silver. He noticed he'd figured out her figure was beginning to round out and she'd begun to use a little rouge on those high cheekbones, which made her look like one of the models he'd seen in the Sears and Roebuck catalog. "I know your sister Veda," she blurted out to break the awkward silence. "She's got pretty red hair and blue eyes. She's in my class at school and she's real smart." "Yes, she has my mother's hair and eyes," Lance said. "Mother came from Loch Earn in Scotland. All of her people have red hair and blue eyes." He stretched out his legs and rolled onto his left hip and faced her. He could see his heart moving in the front of his chest. He had been trying to get the courage to ask her to go with him to the coal company clubhouse and get ice cream cone. He had been trying to get the courage to ask her to go with him to the coal company clubhouse and get an ice cream cone, but he was afraid. He was 9 years older than Alta, and everyone would gossip. After all, he was the most eligible bachelor in Black Mountain, and several women his age wanted to date him. He had put off getting married and have his own family. His father had died just as he was finishing high school, and left him to support his mother and 8 brothers and sisters. This was the beginning of World War II, and he had gotten an exemption for being the oldest sole supporting son. He had finally gotten all the boys in the Navy and the girls married off. Now he was ready to get on with his own life. Well, if you'd like to find out what happens with Alta and Lance, you can read Appalachian Love Stories by going to our website at www.briggslibrary.com. And please remember to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Thank you.